Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Entertainment Expansion. We're your host, Tyler Callahan and Mike Ferrante. Mike, how you doing?
I am chilling no matter what timeline we're in.
Are you saying every single variant of you is always chilling?
Most likely.
Okay. Well, we have,
But then would they be variants?
yeah, they would be.
Okay.
I think they would
Just
be.
had, just had to throw it out there.
So we have finished watching all of Loki. Season finale just happened yesterday. We have collected our thoughts, and boy, did this one hit different. This one hit different from the other two.
It hit right.
It hit right. For me personally, I came into our finale or season discussions for Winter Soldier and WandaVision a bit
Let down.
dejected. Like, it's okay. But I'm pumped. I'm fucking pumped for Phase 4.
Yeah, I'm glad they obviously this episode will contain spoilers to some degree, but
All a high degree.
yeah, I just gotta throw it out there. But where WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier lacked in a good ending, Loki does not. Loki actually pulls off a great ending and the most impactful ending, I should say.
Yeah, I would say this is the most even emotional ending compared to the other two shows. Obviously, Falcon and Winter Soldier, I kind of had no emotions at the end. And WandaVision, was it sad? Yeah, but Vision's already dead. Like, how many times do we have to watch him die?
It, just once more.
Uh, but this, we got fresh characters. We don't know what's going to happen. Before we get to our theories, we do have 3 episodes to talk about.
Yes.
Mike, I'll start off with you. Specifically, the back half of the season. What stood out for you?
Ooh, well, specifically the third or the sixth episode is the biggest standout.
Obvious.
I think, learning that when the TVA prunes people, they don't actually kill them is interesting. But I honestly, at the end of the episode, when Loki got pruned, I think we all kind of knew, all right, he's not actually dead. They're
They
getting
were
sent somewhere.
they were smart to play it because Morbius dying. Oh my god, that's a shock halfway through the episode. But yeah, when
Yeah,
we see
like
Loki prunes, like,
you're like,
all
all right,
right,
he's alive. Mobius is alive.
yeah, there's something
Cool.
going on here.
Yeah. So really good episodes. They didn't really feel like filler episodes at all.
No, I know
Um,
you had an issue with 3 being a bit of a filler or like slow.
yeah, it was
You
definitely
didn't get that at
slower.
all with the second
No,
half.
with the second half, it definitely was a moving train in the best of ways.
Yeah,
A little disappointed we didn't get to see Mobius's other variants. Lightning McQueen. What's his name from Shanghai Nights?
well, you bring up a good point. That place where all the variants end up. What's is there even a high chance, unless you're a Loki, you're even alive because of alive? Like, they make a point to say Loki's, like, no matter variant or not, the one key thing they're good at is survival. So it makes
Uh,
sense after hundreds of years. What do
except
we?
for the non-variant of Loki. He's not the best at survival.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. The OG has to die at some point.
Yeah, clearly.
That's the thing. Like, you see the entire planet that we see, besides that little like bug Thor trying to get the hammer. It's all Lokis. It's all different Lokis.
It's true.
Which I was glad they went weird with it.
Yeah, Crocodile Loki was definitely interesting.
They're definitely going to use Kid Loki for something down the road. I feel it. Like,
It's possible. Yeah, it's definitely interesting where they took it. I really don't have anything bad to say about the last 3 episodes. I feel like they all worked really well. They all achieved what they were going to accomplish or went to accomplish. And each episode felt like it was building to the next.
I will say
Not
something bad
not
about the
in a
show.
not in a filler way,
Mhm.
but more of a storytelling way.
Yeah. I mean, before we get into other stuff, because you brought up, we don't really have a lot of negatives about the show on the last episode.